Anyone that follows niche music circles on the internet will definitely have come across PC music at this point. I just don't think you can really escape it, considering how much of a widespread appeal it's managed to have, while also remaining relatively strange, quirky, and even experimental. You've seen its influence on other genres and other artists coming out from the underground. You've seen the explosion of hyperpop and other artists like 100 Gex. You've seen the discourse. You've certainly seen the discourse by now. You're probably sick of it all by now. You might even be sick of the genre itself, or all of the artists that have come out of the genre who are continuing to put out music. I think each day passes, there's some new conversation about how this genre is going to influence the future of music, and that this genre is actually not really that good, and it's all just really bad music, and you're sweaty and you don't shower if you like 100 Gex. We've all seen it. You've seen it. We're all sick of it. We might even be sick of the music at this point. I think I'm getting closer to being sick of the music as each day passes, I'm not going to lie. And Harle, who has been part of this for quite some time, has got his own new album out here. I was intrigued to check it out because I did hear a few tracks leading up to it. Thought they sounded quite interesting, was interested to see what a full album would sound like. And I think generally what Danny is going for in this album has a lot of appeal, but I think it's just a bit all too familiar for me, and not only that, but the general vibe of some of these tracks doesn't really hit for me. Not to say that it's all bad, but I just think there's something that isn't quite clicking with me, whether it's in like the vocal samples that get brought in, or whether it's in the beats that often don't really land too well. There's just a mishmash of things going on here that ultimately leaves me not too impressed. One of the biggest genres I've been able to point to immediately listening to this album is like UK trance stuff that was becoming quite a big thing in the 2000s. I mentioned it before when talking about PC music, and for as ahead of the curve, for as experimental and groundbreaking as many people seem to label PC music artists, they really do heavily pull from 2000s nostalgia. I don't know why it's never brought up half as much as it really should be. Some of these tracks, particularly like the opening track, for example, really sounds like it fits on those like club anthem, trance anthem, compilation CDs that came out in like 2006. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I just don't know if I'm getting an interpretation of that sound done in a particularly unique way, or even in a way that interests me all that much. Like, I like a lot of house genres and dance music genres, electronic dance music, but this just feels a bit too familiar for my general liking. It wouldn't really matter too much if the songs sounded better, but they just don't. I mean, Interlocked, when the drop comes in with that beat, I just think it sounds really, really irritating. Like, it just kind of like pounds like and it's so unflattering. There's not really a rhythm or a groove, and I don't think there's meant to be for this style of music that he's attempting to go for. It's very hardcore in the way that it's presented, but I just think the beat stares out in such a glaringly like ugly way that I can't really see myself enjoying this at any point unless I'm in like a club and everyone around me is just kind of going and I'm just there as well, like, all right. I just think I'd expect a cleaner, more polished sound for this type of album, because there are some tracks where like the vocals and the instrumental is way prettier and way more polished, and it's just kind of weird to see like the shift in tones across tracks. It's a bit of a mishmash. On a Mountain, definitely one of the better tracks. I think it's just way more ethereal, and it's just collected and calm and just feels contained, and at least feels like a consistent sounding track from start to finish, whereas like there are some tracks like, for example, Shining Stars, where you have the similar kind of glistening instrumental with the vocals, but then the beat comes in and it just kind of like derails the rest of the song. I'm not entirely sure where some of the vocals are pulled from, but Shining Stars really reminds me of Caroline Polachek, just the way that the vocals have that really distinct tone to them and this distinct vocal style. It could actually be Caroline, I'm not sure, but yeah, I think that you could take the song in a more interesting direction rather than just pounding you with this pretty standard generic dance beat that comes in. I just think it doesn't provide much of anything exciting. Again, though, it could be the setting that's the issue, and maybe I'm just listening to these tracks in the wrong environment, and that could be an impact, but it doesn't usually affect my general liking for music. Usually I think like the Kessler EP Ambivalent, which I love, again, you could argue that that needs a particular environment or setting to listen to and enjoy it, but I still enjoy it whenever it's on and wherever I am, so it doesn't really matter. Now, I couldn't do this review without mentioning the MC Boing tracks, because oh my god, are they some of the most insane moments on the whole thing. And again, kind of adding to that structural issue I think the album has, where you do have these random like freak out moments with MC Boing, where the vocals are so hyperactive and it's like an instant sugar rush to the brain, and the vocals like the dude took acid and just started spouting anything over these tracks. Seriously, Boing beat is just mental. Then you've got the car song, which is basically a nursery rhyme just sped up and turned into a weird dance anthem. The piano track as well, piano song, just really ridiculous in the most strange ways I could imagine. And I think they have an appeal to them because they're kind of like silly and quirky and stuff, but they end up just being annoying to me. Like, it's so overly cartoonish that it ends up just being annoying and grating. But again, I think it's just falling on the wrong ears. I think there are people out there that would hear these tracks and think they're so fun and lively and animated, and I think, yeah, you could just fall into either camp really, and I just fall into they're just a bit annoying. Ti Amo kind of follows a similar pattern to some of those tracks I just mentioned with MC Boing. It doesn't have MC Boing credited on it though, but it has the same kind of like repetitive, irritating hook that just kind of like pounds you. There's no moment to let the hook sink in. They're not even particularly very catchy. It just doesn't feel polished enough to work for me, and I'm just left just irritated. That's the issue here. And whenever this album tries something a bit more outlandish, I respect it, but it's just not very enjoyable. So look, this album has diversity, you can't deny that. There are completely different tracks for different styles of dance music across this whole thing. You've got the kind of like slower, ambient sort of like vibey moments. You've got the trance heavy EDM tracks. You've got the ridiculous MC Boy moments. Like, there's a lot in this album that's being packed together, but it just doesn't land for me really. Everything just feels like a rehash of something else for me. Like, the drops sound like late 2000s, early 10s trance, even dubstep at points, and they're just not that well put together to make these tracks sound that great. Like, the beats often just really pound and pound and pound, and I just think I look for something a bit more rhythmic and a bit groovier usually. So yeah, 5 out of 10 from me, not liking this one. But I think, again, you could love this easily, but it just isn't working for me. Let me know your thoughts, so that'd be great. Thank you for watching. Would love to hear if you love this or you hate this, or maybe you're somewhere in the middle like me. Would definitely love to see, because I think it's going to be one of those hit or miss albums. I think it could land really well for people, or it could really just not work, and I think I'm kind of more towards the not working. But it's interesting to see where this sound is going to go. Obviously, PC music artists are always dabbling in and out of different things, so I don't think this is something that's going to define Danny L. Harle's career or anything, because by the time the next album comes out, or the next production credit that he's on, it's probably going to sound way different. But yeah, I'm interested to see where he goes from here though. Thank you for watching, do have a good day, and goodbye.